Welcome to my site, everybody. My name is Paul Smyers. I'm a licensed real estate agent in the beautiful state of Virginia. And I have searched with people all over the area looking for property, and on my own I do a lot of scouting. And searching for a property in a rural area like this is just, it can take a lot of time. I've driven 100 miles just to look at one property. And if you want to look at property, you really need to narrow it down to specifically what you are looking for in the area. So today I'm going to focus on two counties in this part of the Shenandoah Valley. We have Augusta County near Stanton, Waynesboro, and we also have Rockingham County. As you can see, this area is high agricultural production area for a long history. In fact, Rockingham County is the #1 agricultural county in the state of Virginia, and I think it's secondly is Augusta County down here, and I live around here. So I chose this area for a reason, many reasons, but you can see how this whole area supports the idea of homesteading, agriculture, food production, timber, wildlife, fish, and so on. And it's been settled, of course, for a long time. You can look that up in the history. So from a real estate point of view, there's a lot going on. We have different kinds of industries here. Of course, agriculture being heavily supported governmentally and by the industry. We have everything that supports agriculture. We have the tractors, the machines people use, the labor, and so on, the transportation, and so on, heavy construction. So all those kind of trades are very active in this area. And that means the economy isn't based on just one or two types of industries. You have agriculture as a major player. So homesteading and that kind of lifestyle is very common and well supported out here, and that's one of the reasons that I chose this area to live in. So I'll tell you a little bit more about this. The Shenandoah Valley is running from south to north up along here, and it goes all the way through here, way up to what's called Front Royal. A lot of Civil War things happened in this area, in this general area. So there's a lot of history. So there's some very interesting terrain around here for recreation. The Blue Ridge Parkway, the Skyline Drive goes all along through here. And you have, this area over here is a lot of you have some very old land out there. Still a lot of farming, but it's not as steep, and it's more the rolling Piedmont. So basically, you have a lot going on here from a real estate point of view, from an investment point of view. And unlike many areas of the country, you can see how some areas of the country, like Charlottesville, for example, does have quite a bit of expansion in different ways. And you start getting a little bit too much, in my opinion. There's just a lot going on over here, all the malls and heavy traffic. But if you live somewhere in a rural area, like this area here is just lovely agricultural area with the South River flowing north and coming up to the Shenandoah Valley. So you have just really beautiful scenic terrain. You can get a place in the valley here and look east and west and see beautiful views, or you can find yourself on one of the lower elevations here where it's very wooded and so on, a little harder to build, but you can get areas down here where there's still quite a bit of activity as far as residential, and you can have a beautiful view. So that's one of the reasons that this area is very attractive. So I'm going to make a lot more videos because it helps to kind of narrow it down. I always tell people, think about what you want when you buy. Think about the things that you must have, the things that you definitely do not want, and then think about the things that you can compromise on and maybe be a plus if you had it, but you won't complain. So I'm trying to narrow it down for people because people call me and they say, hey, I want to look in the Shenandoah Valley. Well, which part of it do you want to look at? Because, let's kind of narrow down what you want. And that's why if you have any questions, please call me, email me. I'd love to hear comments, where you're coming from. I deal with a lot of people from out of the area. That's my specialty. I specialize in rural property. I was a photographer much earlier in my life, and I did a lot of aerial photography as well. So I've traveled around the country quite a bit, and I've seen a lot of different beautiful areas. And I chose to live in this area for a number of reasons. It's right midway on the coastline. It has a very easy climate. We do get the 4 seasons, but then goes away politely on March or whatever, and then you can start your summer. And we have a warm weather. September here is very mild, almost like a late August kind of thing, and then it kind of goes into October and it gently goes into November. October is like September was up in upstate New York where I used to live. So I really encourage people to kind of watch some of my future videos, and I'm going to make a whole series now. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what's down in Lexington. Lexington area, if you look it up historically, has a lot of history. It's the crossroads of a Route 64 that goes west over into West Virginia, and Route 64 up here is parallel and aligned with 81 over here, but Route 64 goes across here to Charlottesville and over to Richmond and so on. So another thing that is an advances in this area all around the valleys are these beautiful roads. I mean, there's so many alternatives. So if Route 81 or one road that you're on has some kind of problem, there's very likely a parallel road that you can go on, and it makes it a lot more easy for getting to wherever you want to go. And I've really saved a lot of time that way by knowing some of the side roads. So I don't want to make these videos too long. I'll make them kind of short and cover in a broad sense what this particular area. I think the next one I'm going to make is down here by Lexington, and then I'll cover south of Charlottesville. It's a beautiful ride down that way. There's a whole lot of wineries, and it goes all the way down to Lynchburg. So Bedford County also, where Smith Mountain Lake is, that's another area. That's where my broker is. And it's just a gorgeous piece of heaven, honestly. And I encourage people, if they're very interested in homesteading, please contact me. And one of my goals is I want to save farms. I'll make another video about that, but saving farms. There's so many farms that people have had, and some of the elderly people can't handle them anymore, and their heirs don't want to buy them or whatever, or take the responsibility of the taxes and so on and maintenance. So I'm trying to help. If I can save a few farms, I've actually saved a few little things. I've sold a few nice little places that really were quite delightful homesteads. So that's kind of my focus. So thanks again for listening, and I hope you watch some of my other videos. I educate myself constantly. I watch other people's content. I love to hear what people have to say and their opinions and their experiences in real estate. So thanks again.